Washington then.
I know. I'm sorry, I had a moment there. Assuming for a moment that you live in the world of reality and not in the abstract, how's that?
That's on the weekends when I go home to James.
Exactly. Let's talk about taxes and whether that is part of the solution or should be or even can be.
Well, I try not to get into table talk as a commission member, meaning what's on and off. This is my 12th year in Congress. I've served in Democratic and Republican majorities. Here's the problem on taxes. When you take pressure off of the need to reduce spending, you never end up reducing spending. It doesn't matter who runs in Washington. That's the problem. So if we simply go to the quick fix, which is raise the revenue line to come closer to the spending line, you never end up getting that spending line down. We need to keep the focus on the problem, and this is my opinion, the problem is spending. It's not revenues. And of course we should clean up our tax system. It's a terrible tax system. It penalizes growth. It's making us internationally not competitive. I've obviously produced reforms myself in my bill, but I think we need to focus on that spending line. And like Bob and Alice said, what really matters is the trajectory. Heritage and Brookings did this paper a year or two ago of a bunch of budget experts that Alice, I think, and Stuart Butler headed, which I thought was very significant. And it said, let's scorekeep these things long term, meaning let's show the trajectory of the American fiscal balance sheet. And if we actually lower that trajectory, because these savings in healthcare take a while to accumulate, but we actually put these reforms in place and show the out-year differences, it will buy us breathing space in the credit markets. It will revive some confidence in the American economy going forward, and that will help us in the near term with growth as well, I think.
Bob and then Larry?
Yeah, let me disagree with Congressman Ryan here. I do not think it is accurate to say this is simply a spending problem. It is an imbalance between revenues and spending. Let's remember that 9 years ago, in 2001, the Congressional Budget Office forecast surpluses as far as the eye could see. Chairman Greenstein worried that the surpluses were too large at that point. A number of factors intervened, but one of the key ones was massive tax cuts that were not paid for. I know this isn't going to happen politically, but it's interesting to note that if the policymakers adopted a policy that any of the Bush tax cuts that they wanted to extend, they would pay for and not deficit finance, then 40% of the fiscal gap through 2050 would go away. A second key point is this distinction between spending and taxes is very artificial. We have over $1 trillion a year in what the experts call tax expenditures. This is spending that uses the tax code as the vehicle for the spending. That $1 trillion a year is nearly as much as the current cost of Social Security and Medicare combined, and it is double everything we spend on every domestic non-entitlement program: veterans' health, education, environmental protection, protecting the borders. Everything combined is half of what these tax expenditures add up to. I remember serving on the last deficit commission, the Kerry Danforth Commission in '94, and when Mr. Greenstein testified before us, at one point he called these tax entitlements. They are. They're entitlements delivered through the tax code. So if we want to keep the pressure on spending, Congressman, the pressure should be on all the spending that's in the tax code as well as the spending that's on the other side of the budget.
Larry?
Ditto.
What he said.
Let me raise another issue which